Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here with an unfocused camera. It was perfectly focused just a moment ago. Never fails. Just never fails. It is Friday, September 8th. It just it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Okay, I think it's back. It's just unbelievable. The stuff that happens, it just does it because it can do it. It's the Murphy's Law to the max. Like I said, it's Rose's Law. You can call it Murphy if you want to, but you got the wrong guy. Okay, first order of business is I forgot to mention yesterday in yesterday's vlog to put your questions in yesterday's vlog. Now, I looked at it late yesterday, but I haven't looked at it since. There could be questions in there that I didn't look at, so I'm sorry if I have no questions from yesterday's vlog. So if you put a question in there and you're expecting an answer, repost it today. Put like 3 question marks in front of your question and post it in the comment section today, and I'll get to it a little bit later. I do have a number of topics and things and a couple little short video clips that I want to show you, and we'll get started on all that here right now. The first order of business is Yolanda, my secret weapon in I guess it was a week ago Thursday's live show that we had. She's been a big hit with everybody, and of course, I've created a monster. Her channel is growing really fast, and she's put out a whole lot more songs. When I first talked about her, she only had one song out on her YouTube channel. It was called Crazy. Well, now she's got Your Cheating Heart out there. You're the Lucky One by Alison Krauss. Life is Like a Mountain Railroad. If I Could See the World Through the Eyes of a Child. That's a Patsy cover, I think. And then Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, and I think that was by request. So she's got, looks like 6 songs out there. Is that what I counted right? I don't know. I can't count. Anyway, check out her channel. I do have a link in the description of this video, I think. Pretty sure I do. No telling, but I'm pretty sure I do have a link in the description of this video to Yolanda's channel. If you can't find it with that link, which I think you can also just search in YouTube, and her channel is called Pandas Music 2992. So Pandas Music, all jammed together, 2992, all jammed together. Well, anyway, so she deserves the listens. Really does a good job singing. In fact, she does such a good job singing that when you look at it, you'll go, "That's fake. That's not her." You'll look at it and you'll think that because she's barely making an effort. She's just kind of like this and sings, and it just comes out. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, check that out. Dump truck status. Here's a little short video clip. Actually, I'm going to show 2 video clips in a row. One of them is from the other day, but I just wanted to show you what I'm actually talking about here, and then I'll cut it off. So here's the first clip, and then I'll show you a brief section of the second clip. Well, you can see how I have welded this all up where this was cracked across here. I've welded up through here, welded this across the top, put this extra bracket on it, welded it down through here, and I need to weld it from the bottom side yet, so I've got to do that. But that ought to solid that up. I also straightened these back up. These were twisted and bent really bad on both sides. And I welded this area under the frame here that had cracked. So most of the frame, I think, is just about done. So hopefully today I'll get the bed back on this thing. And well, probably not. Maybe I'll just work on the lift part, because that lift is twisted as I showed in a previous video. So I'll have to bring that in here. That thing's heavy, and see what I can do about fixing that. That thing is in bad shape. But eventually I think we'll win and we'll get this thing back on the road. Well, we've got a foggy one this morning. My goodness, just a wall of fog. Well, you see this big mess? Yeah, all of it. That all used to be on the dump truck. Look how twisted this lift is. You know, you can see that ain't parallel with the thing underneath it. The thing underneath it goes like that. This goes like that. It ain't right. Lots of work. Lots of work. Okay, I just wanted to show you that little part there so you could see what was twisted, what I was telling you about. That's the next thing I've got to work on. And that don't look good to me. I don't know how I'm going to straighten all that out. That looks super heavy duty. But I'm Superman. I'll find a way to bend it somehow. Faster than a speeding bullet, able to leap tall buildings, and older than dirt. Yeah, that's pretty much my motto. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a big project. That's not simple. But I need to get that thing fixed. I use it for hauling firewood a lot of times in the wintertime, and it's just handy when I need to move stuff around. You know, like if you just need a load of this or that moved somewhere, it's just handy to be able to throw it in there and dump it. And the truck runs really good. You just touch the starter, it starts right up. I mean, it's just an amazing little engine in that truck. And now that I've got all the fuel problems figured out in it, it just runs like a top. And so it's handy to have it. Anyway, let's see what else. The next thing I've got here is metal detecting finds. First, I'll show you this little short clip, and then I'll show you a couple things that I found that are a little bit better. They're still not, I don't have anything great to show you, but I just thought they are a point of interest. So here's the first little clip, and this is kind of why I don't do live digs most of the time. Well, my friends, I'm getting a pretty decent signal. That could be a penny. It could be fishing lure because we're right next to the pond. Slightly inconsistent. My guess is a penny or a fishing weight or something like that. So we're going to dig it up and see what it is. Uh-oh, this is going to be hard to dig. It's that fill that's got a lot of gravel in it. Trying not to hit it, but with these rocks, you just can't do very good. Try to get under it and lift it out. That probably lifted it out, whatever it is. Oh, there it is right there. Oh, shotgun shell. It's a shotgun shell. Bummer. But at least we found something. That's the way it goes most of the time. I just wanted to point that out because we did talk about metal detecting quite a bit yesterday, and that's what got me back out there last night. I thought, I got to go out there and try this and see what I find. And, you know, I thought I'd detect that fill dirt that we threw around there. Part of that came from where I dug out the wall, and, you know, and I thought, well, there could be something in there, you know, that's buried deep, and, you know, but shotgun shell. That's kind of typically what you find. Stuff like that, and ring tabs from, you know, pull tabs from soda cans, and, you know, you just find tons of junk. Just so you understand. You know, 9 out of 10 things you find are junk. That's just the truth. The difference is that you can learn to read your detector. And I was showing you there the numbers, and you were seeing 19, 20, you know, and 18. And when it's bouncing around that much, that's pretty consistent, but at the point that it, like where you heard that, when I turned it that one direction, it went beep, beep, beep. It's pretty solid standard beep, and it stayed on about on the 19. When you get one solid like that, you pretty much can tell, and especially if you can turn it both ways, like you go this way, and then you turn it and go this way, and as long as you do like at a 90 degree, and if it stays solid, then probably you got a decent target. But whenever they're bouncing around and you turn it a different way and it gives you a different signal, the odds are it's going to be some kind of relic, junk, whatever. It's probably not going to be a coin, in other words. Coins are pretty good. If they usually have a solid signal and they usually stay on the number. Pretty close. There's always exceptions. It depends how the coin's laying in the ground, depends how dry the ground is, the minerals, things laying next to it. There could be a nail right next to the coin. All kinds. There's variables, just unbelievable. But this is what I found last night, these two things here. I found this first. Do you recognize what that is? I'm sure some of you will. It's a leaf spring, or a piece of a leaf spring, and it's an old one, you can tell, because it's got this flared end on it. They don't do that anymore. I would say they quit doing that probably in the early 1900s. I don't know when they quit doing that, but more than likely this is at least 100 years old. Probably came off of, I don't know, almost anything. Could have come off of a wagon, a buggy. Could have even been like a Model A or something. I really don't know. But it is a piece of a spring, I'm sure. And if you don't know these are what they call leaf springs, and they put multiple springs, and then like the load would sit in the middle. Or actually, it might have been turned this way. I'm not really sure. But anyway, the point is that these held the weight of the vehicle or the load or whatever, and then these would flex. These were a leaf spring, and they would have multiples of these. They might be 3 of them, might be 6 of them. There just depends on what it was designed to do. But the reason I like this kind of finds is that these can be made into knives and things, because this is good steel. It's a high carbon type steel, or it should be. And of course, back then, who knows what kind of a quality the steel is. But the odds are, if it could be made into a spring, then it could easily be made into a knife or something like that. So it's nice to have this stuff. It's not really worth anything. But this is a little bit better find. It's not great, but it's a little better. And do you know what this is? And most of you will probably recognize it right away. It's a plowshare. And the big blade, the big round blade that turns the dirt over, is missing. This is just the cutting edge, and it looks to be pretty worn. I'm fairly sure this was probably flat across here. In other words, it's curved way down. I'm fairly sure this was much bigger at one time. I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess. I think that's worn like this. So I was looking for a name on this or something, and when I had it turned up this way, it looked like it was, I thought it was Suge or something like that, and I couldn't figure out, what would that be, Suge? I don't know what that is. But then I turned it over this way, and it says 19DS. So 19DS is probably the size of this. This was probably a 19-inch plow. Don't know what DS stands for. It might be a plow company with initials DS. I don't know. I saw this little symbol up in here, and I thought, well, that looks like a symbol. Maybe that's a logo or something. Again, I turned it the opposite way of this, and it says 19. So it's probably, it's just talking about a 19-inch plow. But I don't really see any real name or anything on this. But I have a feeling this DS could be a clue, might be a clue to what kind of plow this is. I did try to do a quick Google search this morning, and I didn't find anything. But again, it's just kind of neat to find stuff like that. Again, that's probably pretty good steel too. You could probably beat that into, submission and make an axe out of it or something like that. But, for me, it's just part of the history of the farm, and I found a number of those now. That's probably the third, fourth or more that I found of those. So they were doing a lot of plowing around here, especially in all these rocks. That's why that plow's so wore, because these rocks are hard on plows. But anyway, that give you some ideas of the finds I made. Let's see. I'll probably start doing a little more metal detecting from this point on as it's starting to cool off, and I'm not going to get out into the weedy areas yet because it hasn't frosted yet. But my plan this time, I'm going to try to take a little more systematic approach because I found a number of Civil War related items. I'm going to do a better search. Some of those Civil War items were found way back there. Some of them were found way up here. So, I mean, that indicates to me that there's something happened down through this valley. So I'm going to take a systematic approach, and I'm going to take my finished mower that I can put on the back of the big John Deere tractor, and it cuts just about like a yard, and I'm just going to take one pass down through, an area, and then I'll detect that pass. Then I'll cut another path and then detect that path. And just, that way I'll be sure to cover it really well. And I really do think we're going to find some more stuff. And wouldn't it be cool to find something that said U.S. on it or CFS or CSF? I think it is Confederate States, or CSA, that's what it is. CSA, Confederate States of America, or USA. I mean, either one. It would just be awesome to find something like that. And it's possible that there's something here like that, based on what I found so far. Okay. Moving on. I ordered just, this really won't mean much to anybody but me, but I ordered a new graphics card for this computer. I had, I've got a graphics card in it, but it's a lightweight one. I think it's only 6 gig of memory or something like that, which isn't much these days. And whenever I'm doing high-res video, this thing is struggling to keep up. So I ordered a bigger graphics card with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And it's a brand new card that just came out, I think, in June. So it should be, a pretty good card and should make things work better. They don't give them away. I think I paid like $500 for it, and that's cheap compared to the really high-end cards. You could triple that easily, quadruple it in a lot of cases. It's crazy what they get for graphics cards these days, just to play video games. That's what they're for. I mean, that's why they have such high-end graphics cards, is for the knuckleheads that are playing video games. Sorry, if you like to play video games, I don't mean to call you a knucklehead, but you know what I'm saying. Can you imagine spending that kind of money just to play games? I guess it's what's important to a person. If it's important to you, you'll spend your money on it. Metal detecting. I'm sure some of you are going, I can't believe he spends that much money metal detecting. What a knucklehead. But I'm trying to find history here on this farm. That's what's interesting to me. Everybody has their thing, and that's where you'll spend your time, and that's where you'll spend your money, Anyway, so hopefully that'll help me render videos to get them out to you guys in higher resolution and stuff, because right now it's taking forever. As a matter of fact, that last long video I put out about the retaining wall, it took this computer well over an hour to render it. Well over an hour. And this is a pretty high-end computer. Maybe not the highest end, but it's pretty high end. You'd have to spend a lot of money to get one any better than this one. So it took it almost an hour, or a little over an hour, to render it. And when I uploaded it, I thought, well, this is going to take a little while to upload this sucker. It uploaded before I was finished filling out all the paperwork to upload it. I'm serious. It was uploaded in a minute or less. It's unbelievable how fast this fiber optic internet is. Unbelievable. I'm so thankful to have that now. Crazy good fast. All right, moving on. Mountain View trip. We've got that scheduled for October 19th. I'll tell you a little funny story about that. Bruce told me 2 months ago, you better get your reservations made. You better get your reservations made. And I kept, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll do that. I'll do it. I get busy every day and then I forget. And every day or every night when I'm sitting there going, I'll call him tomorrow. I'll call him tomorrow. Well, tomorrow comes, I don't call him. Well, 2 months later, I called him yesterday. And I get Crystal at the, it's called the Knotty Squirrel is where I typically stay. Knotty Squirrel, Knotty Squirrel in Mountain View. And they're real nice little places fixed up, kind of like Airbnb type places. And they have recliners because I cannot lay down. I have to sleep in a recliner with this arthritis. It's in my spine and my ribs. I cannot lay down. If I lay down, it just starts hurting like crazy. So anyway, as soon as I called and told her who I was, she goes, "Oh, I've already got you taken care of." I said, "You do?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I knew when Bruce booked, you'd be booking." So she's held that for like 2 months for me, just based on that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, let's see. We're going to Ohio. I think it's, and my wife will correct me on this if I'm wrong, but September 22nd and 24th. So we're going to Ohio to visit the grandsons and watch them play some football and stuff like that. I said October, didn't I? I meant September. We're going September 22nd, 24th. So that's what, not next week, but the week after. And since we'll be leaving on that Friday, we probably won't have a shop talk or a vlog on that Friday. I'll probably just leave real early that morning and head out. So, but we'll cover that more when we get closer. But I just thought I'd let you know just so you have an idea. And it's, some people want to come here and stop in, and we'll be gone. So you don't want to come in at that time. Doesn't mean nobody will be here. It just means I won't be here. Show at Newburgh. The band is going to be playing a live show at the Newburgh Lyric Live Theater on September 30th. That's a Saturday evening, and if you're in the area and you could make plans to come, we would love to have you. So that'll be a 7 p.m. show at the Lyric Live Theater in Newburgh, Missouri. An old theater, turn of the century type theater. Pretty cool. Turn of the 20th century, right? 1900s. I don't know. 1800. Yeah, 19th, 20th century. Anyway, I think that's everything I was going to cover this morning. No, it isn't. The camera gear. I forgot to tell you about the camera gear. Well, it goes like this. But this is, a deal to hold this Steadicam while I'm walking around. Like when I'm metal detecting, I can have this. And this is that Steadicam, so it's real, solid. So I can be walking around and the video will still be really smooth and clean. And because it's so close, it should be able to pick up my voice real good. But whenever I'm using this camera out there and I don't have it close to me, I bought this setup. It's a Rhodes wireless mic deal, and this is the little fuzzy deal to stop the wind. That just pops on. I just stuck it on there so you could see it. So this would clip on here or something, and then this one plugs into the camera itself for a receiver type deal. Haven't figured out how to use it yet. It just came in. I've got them charged up. I'll be playing with that today, trying to figure out how to use that stuff. I hate complications. I like stuff that works simple and you don't have to deal with a lot of red tape, because when it's a lot of red tape, it's just not fun. I got the stuff I do as just a general rule is already complicated enough. I don't need complications in the equipment. We've got over 133 viewers at the moment. Let's scroll up and see who's here and what's going on. Bill Carter, he says, good morning from Hot Springs, Arkansas. And Carolyn Fike was number 2. Now, these are before we went live. Christia Thomason, good morning from North Carolina. Zappa's on there. And Joe Knoll, Knoll. All right, after we went live, Dean Barnes was the first one to check in, upstate New York. Terry Anth, Christia Thomason again says, Glad you said it was the camera. Thought it was me. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm seriously telling you, that camera was in perfect focus the whole time prior to going live, and it just said, sorry. It's just, if it can happen, it does happen. That's just pretty much the way it is. Lester Cunningham, very nice comment there. Says, Jerry, just thank you for your talents. God bless you. Thank you, Lester. God bless you. Gary Smythe from the UK. Good afternoon from here in the UK. How many children do you have, if you don't mind me asking? I watch Homestead and love it. Yeah, well, Homestead Horsemanship is my son's channel. His name is, well, we call him JR. He's Jerry Rosa Jr., but he doesn't like that. He wishes he would never have been named, that. So we've always called him JR. JR is just short for Jerry Rosa. It's not Junior, as everybody thinks it is. But as I was growing up, kids in school and everybody that knew me would just call me JR. For whatever reason, they just called me JR. And so I just said, well, that's what we'll call him. We'll just call him JR then. And instead of Jerry Jr. or whatever, or Junior, he just doesn't want to be a junior. I don't know why. He just doesn't. Rochelle didn't want to be a Rochelle either. Now, that's my youngest daughter. Well, she's older than JR, but she's the middle child, Rochelle, and she's the one in Ohio, and she's got 2 kids, Leighton and Trinian. Let me back up to JR. JR has 3 kids. He's got Mary, Rebecca, and Isaac. And so he's got 3 kids. And then Rochelle's the next oldest, and she's got the 2 boys, and she's married to Todd out in Ohio. Todd is I think, assistant principal of I think it's a high school, maybe a junior high. I really don't know. Anyway, and he's a really smart fella. He's definitely got the wits about him. And real nice guy, Todd is. And anyway, the boys are just, Todd's eat up with sports, by the way. I mean, like, eat up with sports. As I've always been eat up with music, he's eat up with sports. And I mean, like, seriously, he goes into withdrawals if the game, whatever game's on, if it's not on, he goes into withdrawals. So he loves sports, and of course, therefore, the boys are really into sports, and that's why we're going out there, is to see the boys playing football. And then we've got my oldest daughter, Lisa, and she lives in Eureka, and she's married to Steve. And Steve is in the dentistry end of the business, and I think I don't know. He's some sort of a technician in dentistry, and he goes out and does training on different kinds of equipment and stuff. And Lisa is a teacher at Eureka, I think it is. It's one of the Eureka schools. I can't think of the name of the school. She's a fourth or third. I think she's a 3rd grade teacher now. She's been 4th grade teacher for a while, but anyway, I think she's a 3rd grade teacher right at the moment. Anyway, everybody's doing well now. Lisa has 3 kids also. She has our oldest granddaughter, which is Kaylee, and then she has names. You know me and names. I know them as good as I know my own, but it's hard for me to remember or to call them up. Ashlyn is her middle child, and then Tyler is is their son. Now, Tyler is into diving right at the moment, and he is the only person on the whole high school diving team. So their diving team consists of Tyler, which I thought was pretty funny. Don't make me name names anymore, please. I hate naming names. It's the worst thing I do. Like I've said it so many times, when I'm on stage, the hardest thing I do on stage is have to introduce my band. It's look right at them and their names just go blank. It's a disease, man. I don't know. It's horrible. It's been that way my whole life. That's not an old age thing, in case that's what you're thinking. Since I was a child, names have been that way with me. Cannot think of people's names. All right, well, Gary, thanks for asking. More than you ever wanted to know. I didn't tell you what Rochelle does for a living out in Ohio. She's into, I don't know if I'd call her quite a broker type thing of insurance, but she's worked her way up pretty high in the insurance business and makes a real good income and does a real good job in her insurance business. She works for a company, you understand, but I think she works with a lot of companies, but for a main company. I don't know how to explain that. Don't quite understand it. Let's see. Terry Ant has a question. Is there anything you can't do? Can't cook. Just can't cook worth a hoot. And you know why? Because I don't like food. I don't have any desire to learn how to cook anything. If I have to make something to eat, the cooking, if you want to call it cooking, I can scramble an egg. I can make a pot of soup out of a can, just pour it in a... I don't eat very many soups. I really don't eat much of anything, to be honest with you. So my cooking amounts to basically, just taking a piece of meat and putting it on a piece of bread. That's my cooking. And honestly, I know some of you'll think this is just that I say this stuff for the camera, but I guarantee you it's 1,000% true. A good sandwich, like a ham, turkey, cheese sandwich like that, is the best thing in the world to me. I just soon have that as the best dinner you can make. I'm seriously telling you. I'm not into food. A sandwich is all I care about. If I have a sandwich, I'm good to go. Ronald Todd... I share too much. Ronald Todd. Good morning, Jerry. Have you been listening to Yolanda's videos? I think she needs to get some help getting her to the next level. Recording in the kitchen needs to be a real studio. Well, yeah. You got to start somewhere, and she's doing a real good job putting them out there. I mentioned them already. I guess either you missed it or it came in late or something. I don't know. But she's got six short videos, songs out there. Crazy, Your Cheating Heart, You're the Lucky One, Life is Like a Mountain Railroad, If I Could See the World Through the Eyes of a Child, and Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. I think that's all of them. I don't think I missed any, but I might have. Let's see. Ronald, oops, it scrolled way up. I started up and it jumped. Ronald Todd, Yolanda's voice is better than anything hearing on the opera. Yeah, she does it so darn easy. She does it with so little effort that it's like, even when I'm sitting there watching her live, like that night that we were live here, I'm thinking, sing it. Go ahead and sing it, Yolanda. I'm like, she's not singing. But fortunately, she was close enough to the mic. In fact, I had the mic a little too close because these are crazy sensitive mics. She actually overdrove the mic because she was so close to it. But she was singing so soft, I was afraid you wouldn't even be able to hear her. But she does it so easy. I mean, like most of these gals, and I've said this a couple times already, but the gals that I hear singing like Patsy, they're out there really pushing, really trying, and she just lets it roll off her tongue, and it just comes out like that. I've never seen anybody like her, to be honest, and I've seen a lot of people do a lot of stuff in music, and I've taught a lot of people a lot of stuff in music. And anyway, but she don't really need my help. She could use, as everybody's pointed out, and as everybody points out for us, smiling more wouldn't hurt a thing. Same way with us. The thing about music is, and if you're not a musician, you don't realize how serious it is. I mean, it's a complicated thing, you're doing about, you always say you can only really do one thing at a time. Even the people that think they can overlap and do a lot of things at once, for the most part, you really can't. You kind of are focused on that one thing at that one moment in time. You may be doing a couple other things at the same time, but for that split second, you're focused on that one thing. Well, that's the way music is, but the difference is you got to focus on that one thing, quickly. I mean, like there's a ton of one things that you got to focus on really quick. I mean, like you're strumming, you're in time, you're singing the words, you're changing chords, you're trying to look at the camera, you're trying to smile, you're trying to entertain a crowd. You know what I'm saying? There's a gazillion things you're thinking about, and it's really hard to just smile and relax. I've gotten to the point where I can kind of do that now, but it's not that easy. It's not as easy as you think. And especially if it's important to you. And it is important to us. We try to do our best, and so we're really working hard. It's, you'll be surprised when I tell you this, I think, some of you. It's almost like running a marathon. It really kind of is. It's physically tiring. And when you're done playing your show, I can see how these professional musicians that are out touring every single night, it gets you on kind of a high. You can't sleep because your mind's racing because of all that stuff. You can't sleep. And, you're physically tired. I mean, like the next day, you're just wore out. And I can see how they get on their drugs. I can see it. I've never gotten there, and I'll never will, but I can see how it happens. Let's see, moving on. D.E. from Canada, I believe, says, what did Sue think of you digging around on her freshly grass-seeded dam? She's just, let me just say it this way, she just knows she has to tolerate it. That's probably the best way. I'm sure she doesn't think much of it, but I'm sure she knows she just needs to tolerate it. And she does. Dean Barnes looks like just like a broken drag tooth. Broken drag tooth. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Oh, this. Oh, yeah. You might be right. This might be a spring tooth harrow. It might not be this. Yeah, you might be right. I when I just saw the shape, and I just assumed it was a spring, like a leaf spring. But you're probably right. It probably is a spring tooth harrow. In other words, this would go through the ground like this and dig the ground. You're probably right. Sometimes I just don't think clearly. Let's see. Corny has a question here. Has anyone ever mentioned that you talk just like Big John Wayne? John Wayne's my hero. I've told that story before where I finished my first mandolin. I was super proud of it. I just thought it was awesome. My son owns that mandolin now, and it's a good mandolin. It still sounds really good. I mean, it's a good mandolin. It's not a sort of okay mandolin. It's a good mandolin. Got a great sound. So I was really proud of it. So I drove all the way over to Illinois to a festival where my uncle was because I wanted to show my uncle, kind of rub it in his face like that I could really do it, because he says, son, you're just wasting your time. There ain't no point in you building a mandolin. I've played all these handmade mandolins in the world, and they ain't none of them any good. Just went on and on, He was kind of like my dad. Just one way. There ain't nothing but one way with them, and that's it, And so I get over to Illinois, and he's off stage, and I think he's sitting on the tailgate of a pickup truck, and people are coming up to him, getting autographs, and just talking to him, after the show and all that. And it was quite a line of people. So basically, I just kind of took my turn in line. And so I get up to him, and I show him my mandolin, and he goes, where'd you get this? And I said, I made it. And he goes, you made this? I mean, he was real excited about it. He goes, you made this? I said, yeah. I said, I spent the last month just every every waking minute building it. Oh man, you did a nice job. And he played it for he picked it up and played it for just a couple seconds, and he just handed it right back to me. I mean, he didn't have it in his hand a minute, and he says, "What, boy? It plays real good," but he says, "It ain't got no chop." That was it. So we're on this John Wayne thing. I'm getting to it. So I walk off, and I'm, I don't know, 100 yards away, quite a long ways from him. And I'm playing, and I've still kind of got my eye on, out of the corner of my eye. I'm still kind of watching Don. People are still talking to him and stuff. All at once, he just stands up, and he just like John Wayne, he comes walking right. He just, when John Wayne's walking at you in the movies, you're in for trouble. Something's coming, Well, that's the way it was. He was walking at me, and I said, "Oh, what's he doing now?" And he walks that whole distance, and he comes up to me, he says, "Son, I just want to tell you something." I know, "What's that?" And he goes, "I was wrong about that mandolin." He says, "That thing's got a heck of a chop." He says, "I can hear that over everything around here." So that made me pretty happy. John Wayne, because he did. He looked just like John Wayne in the movies, man. He was walking right at me. Anyway, Zappa says, and it scrolled up on me again. Sorry, when I touched it, it just took off. Let me find it. Where did it go? I don't know where it went now. I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Plowshare is plowshare, Share, point for a walk behind. Yeah, I've seen it both ways, and you can see it both ways out on the internet. So I don't know which one's correct. We've always called it a shear because it's shearing the ground, and I'm going to go with that. Share doesn't make sense to me, but that's what I know. I've seen it both ways. But I go with shear, Shear, because you're shearing the ground. And that's what makes sense, so that's what I go with. Spike Moto has something about a 19DS in his comments, so I want to look at it. Birch Store Tractor is selling something that looks just like your plow there. Description, plowshare, point for walk behind, moldboard plows, 19DS for $24.95. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, Spike, if you get a minute and you don't care, send me a link to that in an email or something. rosastringworks@gmail.com. I would like to see that because I might find that and I might not find it. So if you could send me a link, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. Plowshare, point for a walk behind, moldboard plows, 19DS. Okay. That was Paul Walton. I don't see any be sure to put question marks in front of it, because these long comments, if I don't see question marks, I'm just kind of skipping over them because I'm a slow reader. Spike Moto, did you say Ohio in September and Mountain View in October? In case I plan to visit. Yeah. Ohio is just in a week or two. I think it's September 22nd and 24th. We're going out there to visit the grandkids. Mountain View is October 19th, and we stay through that Sunday, which I think is the 22nd. That Thursday is the 19th. And as I mentioned once before, Thursday the 19th of October is also my brother Steve's birthday. Let's see. Ian Shortall, when you're repairing, making a classical guitar, what sort of hide glue do you use? Joking, of course. Well, first of all, you're joking on both sides because I don't do classical guitars either, and you probably knew that too. Classical guitars you'd think would be the same. They're not. They're just not. They're made quite a bit different, and you really have to understand that niche to really work on them. I mean, just doing a simple setup or something is not that big a deal, and I've done that a lot over the years. But if you're really getting into working on them, like working on the neck and stuff, the neck's completely different. The joint's completely different, and I just don't want to deal with it because it's so different that it's just a different skill set, So anyway, but the hide glue thing, If you still think that just boiling an animal hide and then whatever the sticky goo that comes out of it is good glue, well, I say just go for it. Just make it. To me, it's like sticking something together with something like bubble gum. I mean, it'll stick it together for a little while, but it's going to come apart eventually. And that's the way hide glue is. Yes, it was the best glue you could get when it was the best glue you could get. It's not anymore. Just that simple. Moving on. If I can find another one here. Is there any more questions? Luke, if not true, we have seen you cooking popcorn. Yes, I can make popcorn. Again, pretty much the machine does that. I just dump it in. But yeah, I really do not cook. I'm trying to think of what would be the most elaborate thing I've ever cooked in my whole life. Pretty sure I've already covered it. I can't think of anything. Honestly, I don't think I've ever cooked anything. I don't barbecue. I don't do nothing when it comes to food. I think I've made, I guess the most complicated thing I've ever done. I'm trying to think. Seriously, I'm not being silly here. I honestly don't think I've ever done anything more complicated than scrambled eggs and bacon. That's it. I'm seriously telling you. I know you probably think, how could you be 69 years old and never have done it? I'm seriously, if you had the taste buds I have, it would be quite easy to understand. It's just, I'm a horse of a different color when it comes to food. And I know, even my son, still to this day, thinks, oh, you're just picky. That's what my dad and my mom always thought. And even after I got tested and showed them the test results and explained it to them, they still didn't believe it. You can lead a horse to water, you just can't make them swim on their back. And that's the black and white truth. And just ask Oliver. Oliver cannot swim on his back. He can swim, but he can't swim on his back. Oh my gosh. Yeah, cooking popcorn. Honestly, I do not cook anything. I'm seriously trying to think. It seems like I did something one time that's a little bit more involved than that, but I can't think of anything, honestly. That's it. All right, Charles Rostern. I'm waiting to build an Army and Navy style mandolin. I'm thinking Padauk back and sides and spruce top. But don't know what kind of bracing I should do. Do you have any suggestions? Well, I've worked on Army Navy mandolins, but right at the moment I can't even think of what they look like. I think they're just a teardrop, aren't they? Aren't they just your standard A style mandolin? Pretty sure. With A style, and I think that's what it is, and I'm going to assume that's what it is. So with an A style mandolin, you've got two options. You can do ladder bracing across it, or you can do X bracing. Now, or I'm sorry, you could do X bracing too, because what's his name? Names. Chris Gilchrist. Anyway, he puts X bracing in some of his mandolins. So you got really three options. You could do ladder bracing across, you could do X bracing, or you could do the traditional F style bracing. For my money, I would do the traditional F style bracing. That would be what I would do. But then again, that's me. Now, if you're going to use an oval sound hole, most of those are ladder bracing, just so you know. But I think if it were me, I'd be doing the traditional F-style bracing. I think that sound is overall the best sound. But that's just me. Moving on. Cup of Cool. I can't remember names either, so everyone I know is either Buddy or Hoss or Hey Gal. It's kind of funny because it's not like I don't know it or even can't remember it. For me, it's like I can't access it. I mean, it really is like that. It's like a computer that just can't get to the file. I know I've got it. I just can't find it at the moment. It really is like that. It's the way it seems to me. It's not like I don't know it. And if you give me just a couple minutes, I'll know it. I just can't know it right that instant. I don't know why that is. It's been that way my whole life. And what's really weird about that is, like I told you, I don't know the titles of a song, but I can sing every word to several hundred songs. Probably, I don't want to exaggerate, but probably 200 songs easily I can sing the words to without looking them up. That Statler Brothers song that I sang just a day or two ago on the vlog. I don't know if I did it yesterday or day before, but anyway, that, Silver Medals and Sweet Memories. I didn't look the words up on that. I just remembered them from when I was a kid. I mean, that was popular when I was a teenager, that song. And I had the words in my head. I didn't have to look them up at all. Didn't look up one word, I promise you. I did look up some chords on it because I wasn't really sure about the chords. I've heard so many people do it so many different ways. I wasn't really sure. So the way I did it was the way I hear it. I'm not even sure I did it the right way, to be honest with you. That's the problem with chords a lot of times. I've said quite a few times that chords for me are more difficult than playing the lead melody line. I can play the lead melody line on almost anything I hear, but hitting the right chords is a lot more difficult, in my opinion. And some of you will say, that's just stupid. But honestly, it is. It's hard to explain why that can be, especially in a complicated song. There's so many ways to sing and play so many songs, and so many people change the chords around. Anyway, there's just a lot of examples of that, and that particular song is one of those. There's a lot of people that interpret that song differently and play the chords in a different way. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. Let's see. Gordon Bartlett, I think, is the next one. I have to put some instruments in long-term storage: lap steel guitar, ukulele, and a couple of flat-top guitars. Any tips or pointers would be appreciated. Yeah. Well, of course, obviously, loosening the strings is always a good idea. Do not, and I know this firsthand. I mean, I know this firsthand. You've already heard me say, don't use these liquid polishes. Well, absolutely, 100%. Do not use liquid polishes and then put your instrument away. It will cause them to rust and do all kinds of crud down the road. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to a Gibson. It was a real fancy Gibson electric guitar. It even had the Bigsby wow, whatever you call that thing, bar on it, the Bigsby tailpiece, all that. Very fancy, gold-plated. It was a really high-end guitar. And I want to say a 335 or something like that. I'm terrible with remembering model numbers and things. But anyway, this barber friend of mine in Rolla, he did exactly that. He was so proud of that instrument. I mean, he took immaculate care of it, you understand. And he sprayed it down with those liquid polishes, wiped it all down, put it in the case, put it under his bed, and put it in long-term storage, basically, is what he did. He had, for whatever reason, he wasn't going to use it for a long time. Years later, he pulls it out, and it is rusted to pieces. So I restored that guitar for him and had it all re-gold plated and everything. That was before YouTube. I wish you could have seen the before and after of that one. Oh my gosh. It was probably one of the most dramatic before and afters you would have ever seen on the channel. But anyway, I am not a fan of liquid polishes, period, so don't ever use them. Just don't use them. They're not worth using. Clean them, if you got to clean something off, use just a damp cloth, a little bit of very mild detergent, like a dish soap type detergent, and wipe it down, dry it off really good, then coat it with this Renaissance wax. Would be a long-term storage coating. This would be good stuff. They use this in museums on priceless arts of work, like Rembrandt paintings. They actually coat paintings and things with this stuff. This is good stuff, and especially for long-term stuff. So anyway, I would do that, but definitely do not use the liquid polishes, because that's exactly what happened to that fancy Gibson, and it was ruined. I mean, ruined beyond recognition, really. It was bad. I so wish I would have taken pictures and had something to show you on that. You really wouldn't have believed how bad it was. And I know this guy took pristine care of that instrument. It wasn't like it just got neglected or something. Let's see. I'm moving down here. Paul Walton. When you built guitars, did they have curved backs and tops? Did you use a radius? Well, the flat top guitars, contrary to so many people's beliefs, are flat. The top is flat. The backs have a little bit of a curve to them. I do always put a little bit of a curve in the back. But the tops are flat, no matter what all these people try to tell you. And all the YouTube, all the forums and all this stuff, I ain't never seen one that had a radius in the top if it was a flat top guitar, okay? Like a dreadnought style. People will still tell you they are, but most of the time it's because that bridge has been pulled up, and it looks like they're a radius. They're not a radius. So that's me. I'm standing by that. I got no reason to tell you something wrong. I'm just telling you. So the backs generally have a little bit of you can find with flat backs, but most of them do have a little bit of a curve to the back. So I just typically use the radius that was in the plans, which I don't know what the radius is, to be honest with you. I can't remember. Outboard Tinkerer 62. Jerry, do you know what kind of recording equipment or programs Yolanda uses recording? No, I do not know anything about what she's doing there. I know I don't know. I don't know. She has some sort of an app on one for one kind of deal. I don't know. And I tried to get into that, and that thing, I think it had all kinds of malware and stuff associated to it, so I just got away from that thing. So all I know, I don't know what she's doing to put them on YouTube. I really don't. Prince Michael's kind of reiterating what I was saying about why musicians get into the drinking and drugs. I could see it. I really can, because it gets you on a huge high when you're. It's an adrenaline rush when you're doing live shows. It really is. I have trouble sleeping after I do a live concert, live show, and I could see if you did that every single night, it'll wear on you really fast. Moving down here, we're about into our hour here, and we're 59 minutes, so we got a couple more questions we'll look at. DE, what about a grilled cheese sandwich? Yes, I have made those. Yes, I have. I definitely have. Definitely made those. And sometimes I get really complicated with those, and I'll put some ham or turkey on the grilled cheese sandwich. Man, I'm moving up. That seriously is about as complicated as I've ever gotten right there. Charlie Rostern, thank you for the bracing tips. Was torn between F-style and X. Their teardrop with a flat top and back. Okay, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, now that you say that with the flat top and the flat back, I'll be honest, I don't know about the F-style bracing in that. I just don't know, honestly. If I when I know something, I tell you. When I don't know, I just tell you I don't know. So you're kind of on your own on that one, from my perspective. I think now that you're saying that, I'd probably lean back toward either the latter or the X bracing on that, since it's a flat top. If it was an arch top, I would definitely go with the F style for sure. But now, you got me thinking now. So I don't know, honestly. That's my honest answer is I just don't know. I would tell you if I did, and I just don't. Sorry. Didn't want to make it more complicated for you, but unfortunately, I want to make it clear, though, and I didn't remember them having the flat tops and backs. That changes things when you get them like that. I would probably, for strength purposes, in a case like that, I'd probably tend to brace it more like a guitar. I'd probably tend to brace it more like an X brace and have a bridge pad if it's a flat top. I really would. Well, it depends on. I guess you're still anchoring it. You're still anchoring it at the tailpiece, though. Boy, I don't know. I really just don't know. That's the answer. I just don't know. I never built one like that. Really haven't seen very many like that over the years. So just don't know. Sorry, cup of cool. I have a flat top which I'm fixing the bridge on, and it has a brass nut and saddle. Is bone better, or should I just leave it brass? Well, you could probably ask a dozen people and get a dozen answers on this. Here's my answer. I don't like brass, and I don't like a brass saddle for sure. A brass nut isn't going to affect things all that much. A brass saddle is, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, is way too harsh. I just think they're way too harsh. They're just too harsh. You can hear the difference, and it's harsh sounding. It doesn't sound clear, mellow, driving, punching. It just sounds really harsh to me. I mean, I hear the difference, and it's just harsh. That's the only word I can use. And so I would go with bone if it was me. I would either use antler or just regular bone. Either one, it'd be just fine, I'm sure. It would be my preference, way over the brass on the saddle. On the nut end, you're probably just fine with the brass, but if I was going to change it, I'd change it to bone also. Let's see. I think we got one more question here. Still got 153 viewers. Charlie Rostern says, no need to apologize. Thanks for your answer. I'll experiment with some things. Yeah, you might just, dare I say, go out to the forums. I'm really not a forum person. I don't trust those forums at all. I don't like them. I've heard so much misinformation. I know they have gotten on my case. I've had people report back to me, do you know what they're saying about you out on that forum? I don't care. Let them just talk. I got nothing to prove to anybody. And you can either take what I tell you and believe it, or you can go some other direction. And I'm perfectly okay either way you do that. That's just me. There is one more. Charlie says, ladder might be the best to support the floating bridge. Yeah. When you said flat top, that changed things for me. Because see, there's a ton of structure in that arch. A ton of structure. It's way more strong than you think. Way more strong. You don't even really need braces at all in an arch top. How do I know that? Because one of them I built and used. I'm not making this up. You're not going to believe me. I used hide glue, put the braces in on a F-style, really nice mandolin. The braces fell out. and came out through the F-holes with hide glue. So, I'm not making it up. That's the truth. And that mandolin belongs to Joe Dean, who was the banjo player for Daly and Vincent and then for Doyle Lawson. And that mandolin has been featured on, and I don't have it here now, that CD where it's sold at Cracker Barrel. That mandolin was played by, he was the fiddle player for Doyle. I can't think of his name. I heard it just the other day, and I can't think of it now again. And I'll never think of it because I never did know it very well. But anyway, that mandolin without braces has lasted for years. 15, 20 years maybe? 15 for sure. And it's never caused any problem. That arch top is strong enough by itself. You don't need braces. You probably never heard anybody say that before, but I'm telling you for sure. That arch changes everything. That flat top, that's a different story. It isn't very strong at all. It's not very strong at all. So that changes everything. When you go flat top, you are changing the world. Arch top's completely different. Almost anything you do to that arch top's going to be fine in terms of strength. You can cut those braces down as thin as you want to cut them down. There you go. You heard it here first. Go tell that to the forums and watch them just boil over. Yeah. So that's going to be that's going to be the last word today. Thank you guys so much for being so nice to me, supporting me, and all that good stuff. If you would, give it a thumbs up, and I'll try to get some video out for this weekend. And I know I've got 2 or 3 in the can. I just can't think of what they are again. Now that I've changed formats, I can't keep it all in my head. I do so many things. It's just hard to remember it all. We'll see you soon. Take care.